celebrate 50 years of Student Advocacy Center and Ruth Zweifler's 95th birthday. Yeah. In case you don't know me, I'm Perry Stone-Palmquist. I'm the Executive Director. Been here for 12 years. We have so we have a lot of awesome guests here. So if you're part of Ruth's family, that's like half the room. Can you raise your hand? Yes, Ruth's family. And we have folks who have been served by SAC in the past. Here, special guests. If you ever got services, you don't have to raise your hand, but I will just give you a hand. We have current and former staff. Current staff, former staff. We have current and former board members, some who traveled all the way from Traverse City to be here. Yes. We have volunteers. Charles, I see you. Great volunteer. Bob, there's a lot, so many hours left for a few weeks, right? So many great volunteers, long, and the rest of you long, and all of you really are long time supporters, like many of our community partners, current and past community partners, CMH, court folks. We love you guys all so much. And Nell's family's here as well. So thank you so much. It's so great to have so many folks here. We are really proud, my heart's pretty full, to be celebrating 50 years of loving kids and advocating that adults do more to support all students. And we're going to spend some time tonight talking about the history and honoring some folks who were real sparks in our history. And you're going to hear a big announcement about our future and where we're headed. And of course, we're going to invite you further into the work because, we're not done yet, sorry to say. So that's our plan. Does that sound good? We good with the plan? Okay. So I was not born when Student Advocacy Center started, so I don't know all the history, okay? I tried to pick it up. But it was founded, I know, by a beautiful multiracial group of social justice warriors and NAACP members. Founding Executive Director Ruth Zweifler, Ann Arbor Mayor Albert Wheeler and his wife Emma Wheeler, Willie J. Simpson, Dorothy Simpson, and many others who were deeply concerned. Am I getting things wrong already? Am I getting things wrong? No. Shoot, okay. Okay, good. And there's other names I know, don't have all the names, but they were really concerned about how Black students in particular were being treated in their largely white schools. And so we're going to go into the history in a minute, but I want to kind of give you a broad sense of the journey of where we were and where we've come from. So in our early days, from what I understand, SAC was mostly volunteers. Ruth was a volunteer executive director for a long time. And eventually there was paid staff. Yep. And when I started 12 years ago, we were a 4-person, 2-county office with a budget of about $300,000, and frankly wondering if we were going to be able to keep our doors open. Today, we are a 25-person office, 3-county office, statewide helpline with a budget of $2.8 million. In that time, SAC has gone from serving around 100 kids or so annually to, we just counted, unduplicated this year, more than 900. Including many who serve very intensive long-term support. The organization has gone from mostly education advocacy and family support to also providing an evidence-based academic mentoring program and many youth organizing opportunities. So we have a lot to be proud of. And I'm so excited to take some time today to reflect on some of that history and where we're going. So first, I want the birthday girl to come up to the stage.
I need help. That's right.
Can I say something? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. So we have a special gift. Do you mind opening this while I'm talking? hours of planting seeds. It's just for you. So many of you know that Ruth loves the garden, but many of you know that that garden goes far beyond her house next door and her beautiful garden. She has spent her life preparing the soil with love and care. I'm gonna get, no, stop. Creating the environment that young people and others need to thrive. She has planted seeds, if even in just her words, and the way she believes in all of us to do better and to be better. She waters those seeds and makes sure they have sunshine and air. She wants us all to be heard, maybe not all of us, but most of us, and to have that space to stretch and to grow. And she cherishes each of the flowers that she helped to create. And some she didn't even plant herself, right? The plants just started to multiply just as her impact has grown and grown. So we're here to celebrate her 95th birthday and the 50th birthday of an organization that she gave so much of her life and her family's life to. So let's say happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Put the bag down.
So I don't know whether this is the secretary or what, but anyway. I just scribbled notes. It's short. And I started with, if we could see ourselves as others see us. And I think that that's not the question. The question is, no, please see me as I wish to be seen. And that's the question we all should be asking of each other, I think. But I want to start in 1960. His wife was arrived in Ann Arbor. The Ann Arbor News designated some rental units there as colored. We're from New Jersey. I think pink, blue. I don't see all these houses around here. We moved at 1706, South University, next to Angel School. And not after that, Miss McClure, the kindergarten teacher, knocked on my door. She wanted to show me the raggedy sneakers that John used for gym class 2 times a week. Actually, she wanted to tell me about those new children who moved into the rental units across the street, where there's now that South University Memorial Park to prejudice and meanness. And that these children were coming to school without breakfast. What kind of a mother would send a child to school without breakfast? Well, somebody with no car, with very little money, with very little access. Sometimes the kids went to school without breakfast. I went over to visit and invited the children to have breakfast with us. And we got our first dishwasher. Robert, who was 6 at the time, exclaimed, "Wow, now you'll never have to get your hands nasty like my mom does." And this is Robert's story. He started it all. I'm done.
Okay, Robert's gonna come up. Robert's coming up to get an award. No, that's not your script. Those are my notes. a Spark Award for sparking the whole Student Advocacy Center.
No, I just want to say Ruth's wife is a great person. She's not only helped me, my family, my cousins, my grandparents, a lot of other people in this community that I do know. Ruth, the student advocacy has been a great asset in my life, which helped me get to my goals in life. I appreciate the value that Ruth gave me, the love and compassion for sure. Amen. And that's about all I want to say.
All right, Helen's going to come up and share some memories. Mother Helen.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Hi. I'm from Detroit. You probably heard about me. I've probably been close to prison about 15 times. And one time, Ruth and I met up together because we both were working in the schools. She here and me in Detroit. And so one night we had to go to a school because they were really mistreating the children in the state of Michigan. So I said, Ruth is getting ready to storm tomorrow. And she said, so? I said, well, we might not be able to go. And she said, well, you drive over here to Ann Arbor and let's see what happens. And we'll take off early in the morning and we'll get there and probably won't be no snow, but probably won't be a problem. So I drive there, I go to bed, she wakes me up early in the morning and she says, we're gonna drive up to whatever the city was. We did so many things, I forgot the city. And I said, okay, we go outside. The snow was so thick and the ice was terrible. And I said, Ruth, we gotta go back in the house. She says, no, we're going forward. We gotta take care of the children. And so get in the car, I'll drive. So we got in the car and about 2 or 3 blocks away, we noticed nobody was on the road but us. And so I said, Ruth, we need to go back home to your house. She says, no, we're going, we gotta take care of these kids. So she says, I'm driving, don't worry. So I was worried. And so we drove for about 20 miles and we didn't see anybody on the road. I said, this is suicide. Ruth said, I'm gonna keep driving, we gotta get there and help these kids. So I said, okay, let me keep my mouth shut, but I'm gonna pray hard. And so I prayed and we got to a certain road and all of a sudden the car went off the road and we were down in like a ditch and the ice was so thick and the next thing I heard was siren from the police department. And the guy comes up and he's gonna help us and said, what the hell are y'all doing out here in this weather? I said, she made me do it. We're trying to help some children that are in trouble and the school system. He said, well, we're gonna help you out of this, but you all need to turn around and go back home. Now, I speak that to tell you one of the stores that we went through. And I'm supposed to be a really criminal person. You know, when it comes to school system, I beat up the superintendent, I kicked everybody, I did everything. But with Ruth, she was serious about her energy. And so all the time I was with her, even when we went to court, you know, they tried to put me in jail a million times and you came, brought some people with you. The mayor now was one of the people that was against me, and about 20 more people tried to stop me from what I was doing in Detroit, because I was trying to just save the children and get a better education for them. But they told me, you're going to jail for 20 years. And I said, Ruth was in the audience and they were all organizing. And it looks like the now mayor that was back then, by the way, who's now giving me, I guess it's a prize for how many millions of dollars is he giving me now? Okay, and a center, Dexter Hearst Center, I'm the president of that. The mayor presented this to me last year, and it's gonna be a beautiful center for the community. But back then, I guess we were enemies, and so was the governor. They were all against me. So they met with me because Ruth had all these folks out there in the audience, and with so many people, and they pulled me in the back room and they said, now if you just shut your mouth up for one meeting, we will let you go. We'll end all of this. I said, these dummies. I'll shut my mouth up for one meeting. He was so glad, and he went to the audience and all the judges and everything. She said she's gonna shut her mouth up, but they forgot one meeting, but I didn't. And so everybody was glad it was over with. So the next school board meeting came. What did I do? You got it. Raised hell, and all they could do was raise their hand and say, I said, you told me one meeting, and that's what I did. So don't bother me again anymore. So this is the kind of thing that we went through. I think that people thought I was the brave one, but when it comes to having some common sense, Ruth was always there with me, and she was always helping to help the children. During the whole, everything was about the children, not about me, not about her. So I just want to say to all of you today, we honored her, and we're honoring her some more. And I just want you to know that she deserves all the honor she can get. Now, we didn't go to jail, but I should have gone to jail, but don't tell nobody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mother Helen, for being here. And I had heard some of those stories, but we have them on video now, so I am thrilled. I'm not the only one who's going to be honoring Margaret. You're going to come up in just a minute. We're going to give another Spark Award to Margaret Harner. You can just relax for a second. Well, I'll let you know when you can come up. Margaret was a staff advocate for 17 years and spent more than 30 years working with SAC. Margaret pioneered the work with court-involved youth and secured really important contracts with DHHS and the juvenile court that continue to this day. Some people, you might want to connect with her afterwards. The people who are doing your work are here in the room. Yeah. This model has been recommended time and time again for scaling around the state. And we got it, and we're working to keep it going. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I personally met Margaret when I was in graduate school doing research with Ruth in the Student Advocacy Center. And I later worked with her at the Washington Intermediate School District, where I met Walter. And we worked together to get the county's homeless education program to provide services for youth experiencing foster care. And you don't want, as an advocate, to go against Margaret Harner. I was an advocate, she was an advocate, and I was like, stop advocating the advocate! We're on the same team. And in 2012, when I started here, Margaret had been literally, suddenly thrust into the role of interim executive director. And she took such great care of me, teaching me the ropes, offering me so much encouragement, and frankly, I really needed it. Yes. I needed a lot. And I remember when I started, the first few months, she handed me a case that was yay big. And at that time, I had a pretty full caseload. And it was a real eye-opener for me. It was siblings of foster care that were in Dexter, and they had really, really horrific abuse and neglect that we later found out was continuing to happen. And a lot of significant behaviors in the school. And just to see, Margaret mentored me, taught me how to care for these young folks, how to advocate for their rights, how to navigate those complex relationships, because the foster parent was sabotaging things and neglecting the kids. So she was saying one thing, all the people were saying different things. She really taught me the ropes. And I try to teach those things on to the folks that work with us today. that compassion and courageousness and fierceness, it was contagious, and it lives on today. So I'm really pleased to have DeMarcus come up. Are you gonna come up? Are you okay?
Yeah.
You're good. DeMarcus will tell us how long he traveled to be here to say a few words. With Margaret. You ready? You feel ready?
My name is DeMarcus Jones. I came about 600 miles. St. Louis, Chicago, Toledo, Gary, Indiana. A lot of kids out there who probably need advocates. But no, I'm not trying to joke. I'm not trying to joke around. I want to be very serious when I say this. When you truly don't believe, not that you can graduate, school is easy. If you're, taking it serious, putting in the work. And you're not suffering from any kind of, issues, cognitive issues. But when you truly don't believe you can, because you're going school to school, sleeping on pool tables, parents dead, friends on drugs, friends synthetically mixing drugs, and I know I better not string 2 firecrackers together, I'm gonna get life in prison. Who can you call if you know you do need help? And I know I could have called Margaret. She would have came to any neighborhood to get me, whether I was in Southfield, whether I was in Detroit, or in Lansing, or in Jackson, or anywhere else. If I needed a ride, she would have drove to the projects. She would have came to any neighborhood. But she never tried to convince me to do anything other than what I wanted to do. And it boiled down to me wanting to graduate, to travel, talk to different people. And you gotta have an education when you get there. I don't know what I would do if it wasn't for the people in this room who pay their bills, stay out of trouble, don't get arrested, never been handcuffed, never done any kind of drugs, one husband, one wife, children raised. I didn't know Margaret had kids until today. I didn't know she had kids. She never had a headache. She never had car trouble. She never had, it was always about me. She never came up to me discussing her life. This is a part of her life, and she probably made it the biggest part of her life. I didn't know she had kids until today, and her kids are grown with grown kids. The stork, okay, we'll just say a few days ago. But I didn't know until today. She never made it about that, and you need to be able to call somebody. I mean, I could call my grandma, but if they go to your school because they feel like you didn't do what you were supposed to do, when it came down to us, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to burn it to the ground. So you can't call people who act out. You need somebody to handle it with education, connections, communication, persistence. So I'm not going to take up too much time, but to a mentor, a hero, beautiful, mind, body, and spirit. They all clapping. There's more to Margaret than she is a hero, an advocate, a game changer, feisty. The only other person I'm more scared of than her is her. You grabbed me kind of, you grabbed me kind of, I'm a heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight. You snatched me kind of good. But no, to Margaret, you're a mentor, a hero, a game changer, and I appreciate everything you do for the kids. You deserve it, Margaret. Okay? You deserve it. Okay.
I made it.
Bless you. That's enough. All right. You deserve it.
Darn right. Absolutely.
You put her mic down. Put her mic down.
Yeah, I know. You know, I started out as a kindergarten teacher, and the story about kindergarten teachers is that a kindergarten teacher can do everything with nothing. So we can make this work. Now, I have to also tell you that it wasn't until a half an hour before I came that I realized that when Perry sent the information out about tonight, she assigned us minutes of time. And I've been given 10, and I'll try to keep it to that. But the funny thing is that Helen only was supposed to have 5. And I said to my family, Helen can't say her name in 5 minutes. So Perry has already mentioned that it was work that started while I was working at Student Advocacy Center that became the court-involved youth project. And that only became a possibility because of Judge Nancy Wheeler. And so the story goes, and now I need to tell you that it always depends on who tells the story, and I'm telling the story. So this may be an imperfect reality, but I'm telling the story and it's my reality. So it is my understanding, Nancy, and I have a funny story to tell you about that too. Shortly after Nancy became a judge on the bench, then there was an event at my house. It was probably a fundraiser for somebody that was running for something, probably your sister. And when she came into the house, I said, Judge Francis. And Alma said, oh my God. When they gave her a robe, they changed her first name. And I've never forgotten it. So when I say Nancy, it really is Judge Francis, but I'm not allowed to say that. So it is my understanding that you took the bench about 1990. And that after you got involved in the juvenile court, you were a little dismayed about the lack of educational services that were being provided, lack to none, of the kids that were before you. And there were lots of reasons why. And in the early 90s then, the Ford Foundation came through with a pretty sizable grant for a national organization that actually Ruth had co-founded with somebody else that I can't remember the name. And so they gave us 5 years of funding, and we were to identify the most underserved, educationally underserved population of children in our jurisdiction. And Judge Francis right away said, it's the kids involved in my court. And so I then became the person that was to interface and work on that project, and I loved every minute of it. And the reason I got involved in the first place was because back in 1990, and it hadn't been very long, I got a call from Priscilla Cheever, who had been Nancy's former law partner. And she was working with a young man who was in junior high and was having a terrible time with the school being unwilling to serve him in any capacity. And she said, I can't take the case because he's before Judge Francis, and I can't take the case. Judge Wheeler, I gotta change my verbiage. I'm sorry about that, Nancy. I'll work on it. You were Francis at the time. But at any rate, so she said, would I do this? Because I've been doing advocacy for several years for kids in Ypsilanti, as Ruth has been doing in Ann Arbor. And our friend from Detroit, our criminal from Detroit. So I said, sure, I take it. So that put me into the court situation, because this child was involved with the court. And so we started working, and we ended up getting a special program put in place for this child. And lo and behold, as soon as they put that program into place, come and find out, there was a whole bunch of kids that needed that program. Can you believe it? And so, as time moved on then, we did quite a bit of work to improve the educational delivery system that was happening at the detention center. And with a lot of persuasion, the ISD decided that in fact it really was their responsibility, and so they hired a full-time social worker who they placed at the youth home, and that person her responsibility was to be sure that individual educational plans were being implemented for kids that came into the youth home that had special needs. And then eventually the ISD also provided the trained staff that provided the education there, and for any young person that was in the youth home that did not have an IEP, then it was the responsibility of the social worker there to evaluate and create a plan, not to certify. That was not the goal. The goal was to figure out what the child needed and see that a plan was in place, and then provide support services and I can't say the word, and plans for transitioning. That's the word I'm looking for. Transition services from when the young person was going back to their local school. Okay, well that started with kids that were obviously on the delinquency side of the docket. And while I was doing that, then there are people here who know that I did a lot of work with the juvenile court staff. And I always said to them, when we go into a meeting, if we need a good cop and a bad cop, I'm always going to be the bad cop. So if the detention staff, or if the probation staff wants to play nice, that's fine. We'll still get the job done. And we did. So we did that. The project was, like I said, it started out being 5 years. And so that we did that for the first couple of years, and then Judge Wheeler said, I think it would be a good idea if we looked at the kids that are on the other side of the docket, abuse and neglect. So that opened up a whole new thing, and I confess, I went into this very blind, and I thought, oh, this will be a breeze. These are not kids that have been in trouble. These are kids that, yeah, well, I was wrong. It was much, much, much more complicated. But at any rate, we did the same. We did the same kind of thing with the foster care staff, and eventually it was DHS then. Now DHS. They provided SAC with an office so that we could be there on site and consult with the foster care workers and also train them. And we also reviewed all of the educational records that came in on the kids that were under their care, and tried to fill in the blanks, because there were many where educational records were missing. And so we would try to get those records and then make plans for what was going to be the best thing for them. And then, as Perry mentioned, but I understand this is no longer the case. We got foster care kids identified in Washtenaw County by all of the school districts as homeless. And the basis on which I argued that was that a kid in foster care is not in a permanent placement. And so by the definition of their placement, they are homeless. And so we got people to agree, and that put into play the McKinney-Vento Act, which was a piece of federal legislation that grants all kinds of rights to homeless families, but more specifically, children. And so the important thing was that if a child placement changed, they got to stay in the school they were enrolled in.
That
So-
still happens. That still happens.
Huh?
That still happens with some very different.
Oh, good, I'm so glad. Because I was told that we can no longer identify kids in foster care as homeless. Yeah, well, I wish I'd have been around then. Tell me it's not. But anyway, I'm glad to know that that is in fact still happening, because when I heard that last week, I thought, I gotta find out more about this. The other things that happened with Nancy's insistence, and let me tell you, it was a blessing because I knew that I had the backing of the court, and that's a lot of backing. So one of Nancy's orders for kids was always that they had to attend school. So if a school decides we don't want this kid and we're going to suspend them, expel them, or give them a vacation, which they sometimes call it, that wasn't okay, and it was violating her court order. So more than once, we pulled a school system in on a show cause before the judge to explain to her why they were making the child violate her orders. And almost in all cases, she would say, all right, I want you all to go to the side room and work out an agreement and come back and tell me what you've worked out. Oh, that was very effective. And then the thing that was probably the most fun, we did that lots of times. I enjoyed that, really, I did. Then we also brought and I don't know the name, there's people here, Bill for sure, the Michigan High School Athletic Association. That's not right, what is it? Is that right? Is that close? Okay. They have all kinds of rules, about who can play, how long they have to be in school, and a bunch of other stuff. Okay, well, on occasion, and maybe not as rarely as we might hope, a kid would move to another school and they wouldn't have been in that school long enough. But Nancy decided that in order to have that child, one big thing to keep that child engaged in school was to play sports. Oh, well, you couldn't do that in Michigan Athletics. They wouldn't let that happen. So she actually brought him to court. And she challenged that, and we won. We won that one. Okay, so 5 years went by, and court money dried up, but the court and DHS and SAC kept the program going until Judge Francis was moved to divorce court. And I could go on and on about that, but I would diverge, and so I'll skip that part. But at any rate, I am very glad to know the Student Advocacy Center is still working with kids that are court involved, however you work that out.
Wave your hands back there, who's doing that?
Yay for you. Bravo. So, with that, thank you very much, Nancy. Shall I jump?
Don't jump. I am pleased to introduce our, Keisha Blevins, our board chair.
Good evening. On behalf of the Student Advocacy Center of Michigan's Board of Directors, I am pleased to announce that after careful consideration, SAC is moving to a co-executive director model. The board voted unanimously to move to the co-executive director model and to appoint Annelle Eccleston as and program footprint grew, we believed it was important to explore other leadership structures that would be more sustainable and supportive. Therefore, the board's executive committee appointed an ad hoc committee who spent more than a year conducting research, talking to other nonprofit leaders, and carefully studying the best leadership structure to support SAC in its next 50 years. Tasked with ensuring that SAC's leadership structure effectively advances SAC's mission, vision, and values, provides robust support to SAC's staff and the team, mitigates leadership burnout, and enhances SAC's sustainability and continuity, as well as supporting SAC's role in policy and thought leadership and its direct service work supporting students and families. I know that many of you already know Anel, but for those of you who do not, Anel has served with SAC in a variety of roles for more than 8 years. He initially came to SAC in 2014 as a Check and Connect mentor focused on students in Ypsilanti Public Schools. He also supported SAC's Youth Action in Michigan program, which supports students wanting to become leaders and fighting for better schools. In May of 2018, he was promoted to program manager. He then left in the fall of 2019 to work as a probation officer to further work to end the school-to-prison pipeline. And then in 2021, he was warmly welcomed back to the organization as Director of Care and Sustainability. And now holds a BSW and an MSW. And in addition to his academic and professional achievements, Anel is committed to the mission of SAC. He is kind and leads with integrity and humility. I look forward to seeing what Anel and Perry will achieve together. And now I'd like to turn it over to Anel.
I'm a little taller, so 1 second here. Just a little bit, right? There we go. First and foremost, there is a press release in all of your folders that you just received. So please feel free to take your time and read that, probably after I get done speaking, right? I'm grateful to be part of this historic moment in the history of this great organization. Coming out of undergrad in April of 2014, I really wasn't sure how I was going to find work. After several months of searching, I received a call from my undergrad internship supervisor, who 1, 2, and 3 are sitting in the back of the room here. So thank you so much for taking that phone call. They shared with me a cool opportunity to mentor youth in Ypsi, and then they connected me with Perry. So I'm super grateful for that. Perry took a chance on me and gave me a job as the Check and Connect mentor, as Keisha had mentioned. I remember sitting at lunch with my dad, actually shortly afterwards, and I was sitting there with my notebook, and I was acting like I knew what I was doing, but I really had no idea. And I'm pretty sure Perry also didn't know what she was getting herself into either at that time, so we kind of just fast forward to where we are now. Well, shortly after that, Perry shared with me that she wanted me to do youth organizing, and then I went from like 1 job to 2 jobs in the same organization. I was like, okay, cool, let's roll with this. She then shared opportunities with me with our partners with a national coalition called the Dignity in Schools campaign, and then I went from like 1 job, 2 jobs, now I had 3 jobs in the same organization.
I see how this is going tonight.
Right? Okay. As I completed grad school in 2018, Amy and I became the SAC's first program managers. Then I had 4 jobs now in 1 organization. That's kind of like the nonprofit life, so that's what happens. After a year in this role, I found an opportunity to pursue my passion of ending the school-to-prison pipeline as a juvenile probation officer here in Washington County, and I jumped all over it. As I reflected on what this opportunity really means to me, I recall a verse that states, "Honor your mother and your father," which is Ephesians 6:2. Which they are here, and I thank both my parents. For all the love and support during trials, tribulations, and successes that I've experienced. As I'm honored for this opportunity, I reflected on what honor truly means to me. Not only just to honor my mother and father, but to honor those that came before me. those that have helped me get to this place today, and to lay a foundation for those that are coming after me. As we embark on our 50th year of existence, SAC has had 3 executive directors, Ruth, Leslie, Perry, and interim with Margaret. So technically it's 4. For me, this is a tremendous honor to be part of a great legacy of these wonderful women who have led the charge for over 50 years. But not just that, but to be the first male to be able to step into this role. We are an organization that seeks to uplift the voices of those that are the most marginalized. So not only am I the first male, but I am the first male of color in this role. Not only the first male of color, but I'm the first Latinx male of color to step into this role as well. This honor is not lost upon me. As we serve primarily Black and brown youth, I hope that this can be an impact on them. For them to see a man of color leading an organization, I hope this sends a message to them that they too can achieve this prestigious honor with hard work, dedication, support, and humility. I would again like to thank my parents for being by my side, the board of directors who have confidence in me to lead, our leadership team who has supported me and allowed me to grow and learn how to be the best leader I can. Our staff doing the work in the communities who have trusted my direction, understanding my passion and my compassion to the work that they do. To Perry, I thank immensely, first and foremost, for your trust. Also, thank you for your leadership, your guidance, your mentorship, and your friendship. You've been by my side through thick and thin, so without you, none of this would be possible. Finally, prior to leaving SAC to go be a probation officer, Perry and I had a conversation that I'll never forget. She asked me, did you ever see myself sitting in her seat? I didn't hesitate and responded, yeah, of course, I would love to be in your seat one day. Didn't even have the slightest idea what that meant or what that took. But after a couple years as a juvenile probation officer, I found my way back to SAC as the Director of Care and Sustainability. And so 3 years later, here we are, Perry, sharing this seat that we talked about. So I'm just super grateful for this opportunity, super honored, and I hope to be able to share that with staff, share that with our students, and share that with our community. Thank you.
We're going to say a few things together in a minute, but I didn't really prepare this, but I'm going to try to not get emotional, but I remember the day I interviewed you. We've shared a lot together. We worked with the same student who we loved, who was killed a few years ago. We've shared a lot of stuff personally that's gone on, losses that we've had, and joys that we've had. But what you need to know about him now is his heart and how much he loves our students first, but the whole team. He loves our team and he brings such positivity. Like we couldn't begin a meeting where like things were going so wrong. He's like, so like what I'm seeing is like this really great. And I'm like, what? So we're such a good, I feel like we're such a good team and complement. There's no one else. You know, those of you who've been in this role, this is not easy to lead this organization always. It's because there's so much at stake. Because we care so much, and to share that honor with someone I respect and love so much is pretty exciting. So just had to share that. Okay. Yes. I don't know how this is going to work. It's like a play. We're going to do a play for you. I'm just kidding. You just said I love your role plays. I make my team do role plays all the time, and my family. Okay, wait, before I say this, my husband's back there. Can we just thank him? I gave my husband an opportunity today to leave work early and pick up DeMarcus from East Lansing. That's not where DeMarcus thought he was going to be dropped off. So thanks, Matt, for bringing DeMarcus so he could see Margaret. So that's the kind of husband I have. I could not have done this job without my husband, without my son who's here, my other son who couldn't make it tonight. But anyway, thanks for that ability to share that. Our final remarks. Before we sing happy birthday and eat beautiful cake, together, the folks in this room and others no longer here launched something really special.
A place where we truly love young people.
A place where we fight for racial justice.
A place that pioneered school discipline advocacy.
A place that pioneered a model of education support for youth experiencing foster care.
A place that brought a nationally known school-based, evidence-based mentoring program here in Michigan.
Together, we overturned zero tolerance.
Together, we advocated for historic financial investments in public education.
We have accomplished a lot.
But there's still a lot left to do. While the length of expulsions have gone down since 2017, the rate of expulsions is back up over pre-reform levels. Worse, we are seeing more and more children forced into virtual school placements with too little support.
While we finally successfully saw the state scale up Margaret and Nancy's model of advocacy with youth experiencing foster care in 2022 with our partners, the ARC, all over the state, there has been special education advocacy. They decided to stop funding that in 2024. And we continue to watch the horrifying ways these young people are treated and neglected and underestimated in our schools.
Even while we celebrated record investments in public education, we still see crumbling buildings, massive staff shortages, and lack of services for students who need them the most.
For the third year in a row, SAC has broken records in the number of children served ever in our history. Yet the number of donors supporting us went down last year following national trends.
But you here today are special. You have been part of our mission and work for many, many years. You get it. You get us. You get these kids. And you love these kids. You want to make a difference.
So really, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your support of SAC all these years in all the different ways. We know that there's work to do, and we're hopeful because of you that we can keep bending that arc towards justice. Thanks to you, we can dream and work towards something even better for our young people.
So before you leave today, I want you to think about what that ongoing and new support may be. We want everyone here to vote and get involved as an education justice voter. There are many ways to sign up in your folder that you can leave with us, or QR codes to sign up electronically. We have so many opportunities in the next year, and we need everyone together to build an education justice movement in this state.
We want you to think about the ways you can provide ongoing support to SAC. So maybe you want to become a monthly donor, some of you already are, which is great. Maybe you want to make a special gift in honor of our 50th and Ruth's 95th. Maybe you want to give a special gift to our endowment. Maybe you want to include SAC in your will, like my husband and I have done proudly, and work on a planned gift. There is more information about all those options in your folder. And finally, anyone can do this one. This one's an easy ask. I want you to think about who you can tell about SAC. Everyone always says we're still the best kept secret. What is up with that? So we need your help, especially in Wayne County, where it's just crushing cases, and we're working so hard to get more supporters there. Who else could you connect us with? Who else could support SAC and get involved, not just in supporting the work, but getting involved in this movement to advocate for more funding for public schools and for better public schools? Maybe you want to host a house party where we can come and talk about the work and ways to get more involved. Maybe you just want to invite people to a future event. Really think about who else you can connect to us. That would mean a lot to us.
Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being part of this legacy. You are a gift to us.
Yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Okay, here's your parting, we have cake for you. And we want to sing happy birthday to Ruth. So while I'm telling you what else, think about who actually has a good voice here and who's going to start us. My family will vouch that I should not be that person. That's right. You'll be able to go to the cafeteria and get cake. You should buy some merch. You should sign up. You should look at all the historical documents I dug up for you to look at. Am I forgetting anything? Sign up to get more involved. Mingle, talk with folks. Margaret, my team want, like my advocates really want to talk to you about surrogate parenting and some other stuff so that you can't leave until you talk to them. Sorry. All right, who's good at singing? Someone?
Let's just get it on.
Happy birthday.